All right, everybody. It is good to see y'all again this evening doing the New Orleans Saints mock draft. I don't think we're going to do all of them, probably do the first four or five picks. The draft is getting really close. We've done a lot of these team mocks. I just wanted to hit a couple more before the draft actually gets here. And I think everybody's looking forward to it. The Saints should be. Got some hope down there in New Orleans and got some draft picks to work with too. So let's get to it. You can see here what this simulator put out tonight. Mendoza goes first, of course, and then you can see down the rest of the results there who went before we had a chance to pick here at number 8 for the Saints. Again, I'm not trying to predict what the Saints are going to do. We'll find out what they think come draft night. This is what I would do if I were sitting here and without any voices in my head. And listen, that's another really huge thing. I think that might be the biggest thing that people don't talk about enough, and for good reason. I'm not criticizing, but when I'm doing these simulators, there's no voices in my head screaming at me. There's no head coach screaming for a player. There's no owner interfering, screaming for a player or telling me to draft a certain player. There's no offensive coordinator telling me how good this player would be for our system. So, those voices when you get in a room have a major influence, and not just for draft night, because I know by draft night the plan is usually largely set, but for the months pouring into the draft work after the season is over, and the amount of pulling and opinionating. And listen, it's not all video based. A lot of it is, hey, I like this guy, or this guy fits my system, or man, this guy just really looks good in the games I saw him. So a lot of work does go into it, but there's a lot of voices that go into it as well. So not just for the Saints, for every franchise. I just get to sit here and do what I want to do, which is way easier. Okay. I don't have to worry about the other voices. So let's get to it. My needs for the Saints team go wide receiver, edge, guard, CB, defensive tackle, linebacker, 3. And I might even probably would put CB over guard, and maybe edge over wide receiver. I really do want to get a wide receiver out of this draft though. So that is a pretty big priority for me, whether we address it with this 8th pick or not, which we're not. Okay, so here's what I'm looking at here. We're sitting at number 8. I love Sonny Styles at number 6. Absolutely love him. I've either got him ranked, I don't know, third, fourth, fifth on my big board. I love Ruben Bain, and I love Mansour Delane. Okay, those are my 3 guys out of this spot here. So we'll go one of those 3 guys. I would go Ruben Bain, but I tell you, it, the arm stuff makes you think about it, right? Because you start to realize how few guys with arm questions, and I believe now it's one of the draft guys. They talk about how long it's been since we've had a guy get double digit sacks. When they have a certain arm length, that's enough to just make you stop and be sure, right? But the recent stories that have come out about automobile accidents and deaths and things like that, that's a whole nother thing. And I know NFL teams are saying, well, we've known about this for a long time, but not all of the public knew about this. So that's another thing to think about right there with Bain. So I may let Bain go here at 8. I'd have no problem if the Saints drafted him. But since I've got 2 other players here that I love, and I mean I love Sonny Styles and Mansour Delane, that can just be enough of the difference right there. Okay, so that's my thinking right there. If you feel differently one way or the other, throw it into the comments here. Okay, so Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State; Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU. I actually have Sonny Styles rated higher, but man, I kind of hate to do it when I've got 2 linebackers sitting there that I like, and when I really could use another corner, and I do love Mansour Delane. So I could easily be talked into taking Sonny Styles, and if you want to do that, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and take Mansour Delane here at number 8 out of LSU. Really does a lot of things well. Just a tremendous corner. Uh, I mean, he can cover one on one, and he can cover zone, and he can be physical, and he can be sticky, and he can be handsy, and he's got the speed. I don't know that he's an elite one-on-one shutdown island corner kind of a guy, but just a really good defensive back, really good cornerback here. So that's where I'm going to go. Cornerback number one. I'm automatically going to want to draft a wide receiver here with this pick, but we got to keep in mind by the time we get to 73, there may not be any edge rushers available. So I may get forced into fishing into the edge rushing pool here with my second pick. And then when I get to 73, I feel like there's still going to be 3 or 4 wide receivers at 73. They call that stacking. I know you guys know that. I'm not always a fan of stacking, but having studied this particular draft, I feel like when we get to 73, I still get to pick between 3 or 4 wide receivers that I personally like. Whereas when I get to 73, I don't think there's going to be any real edge rusher sitting there who can get pressure on the quarterback. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at here. Okay, so let me real quick glance at wide receiver. Brazel, Bernard, Williams, Hurst, Bell, Lane, Lance, Branch, Surratt. Okay. Let me go to edge rusher here. Akas, Lawrence, Howell, Thomas, Josephs, DDS, Derek Moore. I see the numbers here on these guys, okay? Big board grades, totally fine. They're not going to be there at 73. I'm just largely convinced. Akas, Lawrence, Howell, Thomas, all long gone by 73. Josephs might even be gone by 73. And there's a chance to me that DDS is gone by 73. We'll see how NFL teams feel about him. Let me go back to the big board real quick here. Tell you what, sitting here at 42. Avion Terrell sitting here, but we already drafted a corner, so I'm not going to double down on that. Chris Johnson's a good pick as well. Nothing wrong with that. Keith Abney's a good pick there as well. Nothing wrong with those picks. There are some good defensive backs sitting here anywhere from 30 to 40 in this draft as well. Keep that in mind. All right, let's go back to the defense. Let's get edge rusher. It's a nice little group here as far as guys that can get pressure on the quarterback. So Lawrence, Howell, Thomas, all 3 good guys. I'm tempted to pick Howell. I'm not sure though that Lawrence doesn't fit the Saints better. So I'm going to go ahead and grab Malachi Lawrence, edge out of Central Florida. Brings us to 73. I'm not doing any trading tonight, but certainly don't be surprised if the Saints do some trading on draft weekend. Let me go straight to the wide receiver. I already said. So we covered what did we do? We covered edge and corner. We haven't yet covered guard or wide receiver. All right. I already see a name there that I like, but let me go look at offensive guard real quick too. All right, the guards that I would have coveted have gone. Center, good centers there as well, but we don't actually technically need center. And then just looking back at the big board, I love Caleb Banks, but the medical thing is what's really got me concerned there with Caleb Banks. That's why he's sitting at 56, and that's why I'm not even totally sure I would draft him here at 73. All right. Several wide receivers I like here. Jacoby Lane, if you want a big guy who's very physical, can snatch the ball, devastating in the red zone, but can also produce in over the middle as well. I like him. Bryce Lance is where I'm actually going to go here, though, out of North Dakota State. Okay, got the size, got the athleticism. Really, really liked his tape. Really like his athletic profile. If you haven't seen him yet, I understand. He's from a small school, but it fits. Okay, Bryce Lance out of North Dakota State is where we're going to go. So we've addressed wide receiver, edge, and CB. That leaves me with, from a needs standpoint, guard, LB3, defensive tackle. I know that they've actually got tight end on here as well. If you think tight end's a major need, feel free to throw that in. Here's what we've already done. Delane, Lawrence, Bryce Lance. All right, let me look at these positions of need here real quick. I'll come back to this board here in just a second and talk about a name. Guard. Jalen Farmer, Logan Taylor, Bo Stevens. Decent guys there. Billy Schrouth as well. Decent guys there to think about at guard. Okay, so keep that in mind. Linebacker 3. I'm going to come back to this. My next pick is at 136. Yeah. Okay. There's a group of linebackers here very much worth taking for depth and future purposes, right? And then I mentioned defensive tackle. Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is probably what I'm going to do. So there's a guy here, Caleb Proctor of Southeast Louisiana. If you haven't seen the tape on him, go check it out. Okay. I'm not convinced that he is big and stout enough to be a full-time starter. I am fairly convinced that he can get pressure on the quarterback from the defensive tackle position. And there's not a whole lot of guys that can do that. Okay. And I get it. Again, he played at Southeast Louisiana. And maybe I shouldn't stack two small school guys in the same draft. I probably wouldn't. I'm going to go ahead and do it in this draft just to illustrate what might be available. Again, Bryce Lance, North Dakota State, Caleb Proctor, Southeast Louisiana. Maybe I don't want two small schoolers in the same draft. That's probably not percentage-wise a great bet. But again, just to show you what's here and what some of these guys are, the Caleb Proctor tape, even against LSU, and LSU's loaded with talent, but even against LSU, he was able to create problems getting to the quarterback. He's got moves, he's got speed. I'm not sure that he has the size or the stoutness to hold up against the run or be a full-time starter, but still a guy that can get rotational pressure from defensive tackle. I'm going to try to put that in here. So let's go ahead and take Caleb Proctor. And we're right back here picking at 136. Take another quick glance at wide receiver. A couple of decent wide receivers if we wanted to double down. Tight ends here. Tell you what, adding Sam Roush wouldn't be a bad idea here at this spot. Offensive guards here. They're starting to run out. I'm tempted to take Billy Schrouth. Defense overall. All right, what spots do I still have left? I took my defensive tackle. I'm going to gamble here. I get to pick at 150. I'm going to add either a guard or the right guard or linebacker at 150. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and do the one I want right now. All right, offensive guard. I'm going to go ahead and grab him right now. I know he's lower on their board. I'm going to take him right here anyway. Billy Schrouth coming out of Notre Dame. Really like his work. Go check it out. Offensive guard out of Notre Dame. Again, I know y'all haven't had a chance to see everybody. I haven't had a chance to see everybody, but I've seen a lot of them, and I like Billy Schrouth's work, so we're going to add him right there. I don't think he'd be sitting there later. And then let's go to defense here. Linebacker. All right, so this is the group here. Tarian York out of Texas A&M is a guy worth drafting. Kashawn Elliott, a linebacker out of Arizona State, guy worth drafting. Jack Kelly, linebacker out of BYU. Lander Barton, linebacker out of Utah. Bryce Betcher, linebacker out of Oregon. These are all guys that NFL teams want right here. Okay, no question about it. I just listed off 5 guys that NFL teams want and would fit perfectly for the Saints for linebacker 3, right? Not the starter, but linebacker 3. I'm going to go back real quick and see if there's anything huge sitting here. I don't see it. So basically, by sitting at 150, not all the linebackers are sitting here, but I get to take my pick out of this group here. And I like this group. So I would take any of them. I'm going to go ahead and take Keyshawn Elliott out of Arizona State. How many picks do we have left? We got 2 more picks. I'll knock out 2 more picks real quick. Yeah, okay. That's still sitting there. So let's do Sam Roush out of Stanford. Sam Roush, excellent blocker and quick underneath routes. You talk about a guy that when he's not needed in blocking, once the defense is kind of drifted back to guard all the pass catchers, he pops out, leaks out, lots of underneath yardage. Really like that. So if that's your kind of thing, that would be Sam Roush here. Now for our final pick. Looking through here. Andre Fuller's a guy I'm very tempted to take here. Yeah. Okay. I know I'm grabbing a third small school guy. Okay, and that might not be the best thing to do in terms of NFL circles, but just to show you guys that are here, if you don't like that, we can grab Dalen Everett. Okay. Matter of fact, I may just do that. But listen, Andre Fuller, cover guy, Toledo, go check out his tape. They did play some bigger schools and he held up. So go check out the Fuller tape. But in order to not add a third small school guy, I'll put in Dalen Everett here, cornerback out of Georgia. Okay. So that's our work. They'll show it to us here in just a second. We hit all of my needs, maybe some of your needs we didn't hit, but man, we covered a lot of position groups and even the mock simulator here. We hit all of their needs as well. Okay, so and again, the grades I don't care about. That's always based on the difference between where they have them on the big board and where we drafted them at. So I don't care about that. But Delane Lawrence, Bryce Lance, Caleb Proctor, Billy Shrouth, Keyshawn Elliott, Sam Roush, Dalen Everett. Feel free if you got comments, good, intelligent comments that will add to the conversation. Please bring those in. If there's a guy sitting there that was available that you would rather have had, put that in there as well to develop the conversation. Okay, that's it. Thank y'all. This is Pro Football Enterprises, and hope you all enjoy the draft. Bye.